Hello everyone and welcome to an entry-level sedan that kicks up the luxury quotient a notch up when compared to its rivals, the Genesis G70. Oh, and it's also an affordable luxury sedan. So in today's video, we're going to be finding out everything in detail about this Genesis G70. But before we move forward, please consider subscribing to my channel by clicking that subscription button, the red one, and also there's a bell icon next to it, so make sure to press that and leave all the notifications on, so that way you will never miss any video updates from my channel. So let's start from the front. You get this meshed grille out here in this beaky shape, like pointy at the bottom and then roundish on the top. There's also chrome surround around it. Even the meshed part is all chromed out here. There's this black patch in the middle that is for the radar and the sensors out here for your lane keepers and all of that stuff. There's also another mesh grille at the bottom which is black glossy ones, and there are also more glossy bits meshed ones out here on both the sides, and there are also vents inside of it, so there is like air that channels into and then flows out from the outside. But otherwise a pretty simple bumper that is. And one more unique feature of this grille and the headlights that you see is that it makes a Genesis logo out here. So this whole thing is like a Genesis logo which is given on top on this bumper, and these two lights. Previously it used to be like a single cluster and inside there used to be two lights, but now they've separated those lights properly into two parts out here. When you come to these headlights, these are LED headlight cluster, complete set, top and the bottom ones. The top one is for your the main upper, and the bottom one is the dipper, so it's been split into two lights. There are no fog lights or anything, but just plain one cluster, but they are smart dynamic lights, so they would adjust accordingly based on the traffic situation, everything. So if it's dark, it would just raise the beams and all of that, so it's pretty clever. And also there are two DRLs given out here in this headlight cluster, and these DRLs also convert into the turn signals. But overall, let me know in the comment section, what do you think of this front look on this G70. Now on the sides you get 19-inch 10-spoke alloy rims, and it looks pretty good, like from the side profile, if you ask me, because it just fits very well. The size of it is proper, the arches fill in quite well. There are also red color Brembo brakes, so you get good braking performance also from this G70. There's also this bit of mesh grille out here. It's just plastic grill, that's about it, just for the design purposes and show. There's also a chrome surround around these windows. There's also chrome on this side mirror, and when you come to these side mirrors, these are body colored side mirrors. They are power foldable, they are also power adjustable. They also have the blind spot warning inside them, and not just that, there is also a turn signal LED one which is given out here. There are also cameras mounted in here, because this car comes with 360-degree camera system. And not just that, again, there is also these cameras which are used like a feed which is given on your driver's display. So whenever you're turning whichever side, left or right, the feed is shown to you on your driver's display itself. So that's a part of Kia Hyundai, so it's also the Genesis. And then there are subtle lines which are given on top, very subtle ones. Even at the bottom it's just subtle and no skirting or anything out here. But the G70, when you compare it to the G80, and I've done a detailed review video of the Genesis G80 as well, so you can click on the pop-up banner out here and you can watch the detailed review video of that. And in the back you get these tail lights that extend into the side profile and looks a little more Mercedes type. Let me know in the comment section below. They extend onto the side profile. There is also this meshed grille out here in normal plastic. When you come to these doors, the front doors are smart keyless entry doors. Inside that you will find the Genesis badging on the door sills, and that's about it. So I am currently standing away from the car because I want to show you a feature. So I have the keys of the car in my pocket, so when I walk closer to the car, and it's locked currently by the way, so the moment I walk close to the car in the back, it opens the boot for me, and that is one of the cool features. But I've identified a problem in there. The problem is that, say if you're just casually walking at the back of the car and you have someone, your mate or your someone you are just going to stand and talk here, the car would think, oh no, you want to put the shopping bags in there, and it would open the boot door for you. So for that, then you will have to close the boot door manually and then put it into the lock from behind so that it wouldn't open up. But when you come to the boot space out here, you can put 330 liters of luggage in the back, which is kind of decent, but it's not even the biggest or not even a medium sized boot that you get out here, but it's all right. You can still put one big bag and a small bag on the sides. There are also scruff plates out here so that you don't damage your bumper. At the bottom of this boot floor, you will find a temporary spare wheel which has been given as well. There are also tying points in the back all around in the boot floor, and these rear seats are foldable in a ratio of 60:40. And in order to do that, when I do that, I can fold down one of the seats, and let me just do that. And when I fold it down, you get more horizontal space that way so that you can load longer objects, but that's about it. So in order to put taller objects, that's not going to be doable. But the thing is, when you fold down the seat belt on the right side for the middle passenger, that just stays like that. So I don't know what you do with the belt itself. But overall, the boot space is more wide and also got length, but it doesn't have the height that way. And once you're done, you can just close it off like that. And when it comes to these tail lights, you again get these split tail lights out here in the Genesis design, but again there is also a Genesis design that continues out here. This is like the logo out here with these two lights, so lots of subtle logos that they have thrown around outside the car. So you get these double stripped LED tail light cluster. There are also the turn signals and everything is just LED. There is also the Genesis badging out here with the 3.3T, which is the engine which this car gets, and also the G70 badging out here, and a pretty chunky boot door that you find out here with this sort of sharp lip at the top, and sort of makes a subtle spoiler kind of design in the back as well. Now at the bottom, you would notice this very plain plastic which has been given, which has a number plate and all of that, and even the reversing lights out here. This looks a little too big, I don't know, let me know in the comment section below, but it just makes the whole rear end feel very big that way. There are also twin exhaust out here, round ones, chunky ones, chromed ones, and also not just that, the actual exhaust tips are just the round ones inside it, and it's just that the exit is just made bigger, but nonetheless it really looks pretty fancy on this G70. And there is also this diffuser which has been given. It's not actually a diffuser, but it's only for the design purpose to make the rear end sporty. When you come to the visibility, it's actually pretty alright, even though this has such a massive rear end, but the visibility is not too bad. There are just pillars on both the sides. Now, even though this is a luxurious sedan, but there are bits inside the interior which are a little not so luxurious. But let me start with the dashboard itself. So you get soft touch dashboard out here on the door cards as well, soft touch, and then you get this brown color leather covered side door cards as well, and where you're going to be resting hands, that is all soft. But at the bottom now you get just the normal plastics, normal out here as well, normal plastic, and then this is again soft touch, and then even the glove box is normal plastic, and out here on the sides it's again brown color leather covered dashboard out here. And then there are also these aluminum kind of plastic inserts which are given around the gear lever and even on the door card itself, where the handle for opening the door and everything is. So yeah, they've kept it pretty mixed. So what I feel is, on your eye level where you're going to be seeing all these materials, those are kept all luxurious, but at the bottom of it, it's all just normal plastic. And then there is also this carpet lining in here, and not just that, even on the roof there is suede material to make it feel a lot more luxurious. Yeah, this makes it feel very luxurious for sure. But then when you come to the steering wheel, in the center it's all normal plastic, and on the sides it's just leather covered. So yeah, it's a mix of different materials that ways, but nonetheless the plastic quality is about decent and not so bad. There are also lights which are given on this roof line, so that's about it. You cannot change the color or anything, but that's just the fixed light. And then when you come to the driver's display, you get a 12.3-inch colorful display, and really like this display. It was there in the G80 as well, and it started to come into the Kia and the Hyundai, and all of them just do it so well. And the best part about this screen is that you get to see in a 3D feature. So in order to activate that, you have to go into the settings, and then you go into the vehicle, and then you have the cluster design. In that you will have the 3D cluster, and then when you put it into maximum, I cannot get it on the camera because it's just so difficult to pick it up, but when you watch it, you have this depth inside that is created on the screen itself. So the dials go in the back and the information is laid up front, so it gives you a very 3D kind of look. But I like what they have made use of this screen and not just slapped it with just a lot of features inside. Of course there is a lot of feature, but they've done additional bits as well with the screen, which is what I like about it. And on both the sides you get the dials for your speedometer and your RPM and stuff, and then the gauges at the bottom to see your temperature and your fuel and everything. And in the center you will find a screen which shows you information like the refueling, how much you are averaging after that, the accumulated info, the driving information, and also the speed digital. And then there's a button on the steering wheel on the right side. When you press that, you can go into the compass. Then there is the tire pressure, attention level, and also the driver assist. Like if you have the lane keep assist and all of that, that is on, then that will show you as well. And then you come to the gauges, which shows you oil temperature, torque, and turbo power, the boost that you are producing. And then you come to the normal screen after that. So that's pretty much it in terms of the features that you can use, which is pretty similar to many Hyundais or Kias. In fact, I've done a detailed review of the Kia K5, so you can click on the pop-up banner out here and can watch the detailed review video of that Kia K5. And not just that, when you change to different driving modes, these dials also take up different colors and different designs. And if you want to leave it into the driving mode, you can do that. Otherwise you can go into the infotainment screen and then change it to the customized ones, where you can have just the fixed dials all the time. That design, if you like it, then you can just leave it like that. So you can do all of those customization options as well. So when you come to the steering wheel, this is a leather covered round steering wheel with half perforated design, where you're going to be resting your hands and everything. There are also paddle shifters which are given in the back. Just the plastic ones, they are decently long enough, so I don't mind. This steering is also electronically adjustable, which is your tilt and the telescoping, another luxury feature. And in the center there is Genesis badging, but the center, as I mentioned, the cover for it is all in plastic. And on the right side you would find the controls for your adaptive cruise control, your lane keep assist, and all of those features, and also the button to change the information on your driver's display. And on the left side you will find the controls for your communication and also the media controls that is given on this, but the steering wheel itself. There is also a star button which you press and you can customize to show you what you want to do with that button. You can accept, reject calls, and change to hands-free device. Then there is also the mode button, and when you press that mode button, you will see it on your infotainment screen itself, what you want to do with that button as well. Now when you come to the air conditioning controls, you get straightforward dials and buttons for that, and I'm actually happy because it's just way more easier to use the buttons and the dials instead of the fidgety screens and the touch screen buttons and all of that. So in order to start using, all you have to do is, in the center there's a dial, so just turn it around and you can switch on the air conditioning, and then that same dial itself is for your fan speed. And on either side you would find the dials for your temperature control. So you get dual zone air conditioning system on this G70. There are also more buttons given on either side to switch the AC on and off, and also the flow of air and everything. There's also a climate button which is given, so when you press the climate button, or also there's a climate option inside the infotainment screen. When you press that, you can see all the different settings for your climate, and also the information like outside temperature, inside temperature, the fan speed, and all of that. And also you can change the climate setting, as I mentioned, to if you want to defog, you want to dehumidify, smart ventilation, and all of that stuff that you can see from here. But traditionally everything is operated using the dials and the buttons out here. There are also buttons given for your heated and the cooled seats. So this G70 gets perforated, heated, and cooled seats, which I'm going to come to that as well. So the buttons are given out here, straightforward big buttons, so that it's easy to notice as well. Now when you come to this infotainment screen, this is a 10.3 inch pretty crisp and sharp looking colorful display, and there are also buttons given at the bottom of this infotainment screen to control all the main options out here. So big buttons again given for your map, navigation, radio, media. The start button, I'm going to come to that start button again can be customized from this infotainment screen. The setup button, and also 2 dials on either side for your volume and the tuner. So when I come to this main infotainment screen, it's pretty snappy, like I like that. And pretty much every Hyundai Kia car that I've come across, they have the same system. When you start using the infotainment screen, it's pretty snappy when you start using it. And then when you come to the first option, you are led into the map. So you get inbuilt maps on this G70, and they are super snappy because this system is so light. So it's just way too quick to use the maps as well, and it's pretty detailed, and you can find pretty much everything on this, and they are quite updated as well. Although you're going to be using Google Maps whenever you're connected to the Android Auto or the Apple CarPlay. And then there is the navigation system where you will find all your point of interest and routes and all of that stuff. Then there is the phone option, radio option, and the media option, in which you will find the different connectivity options. So in terms of the connectivity, you can connect to this G70 using Bluetooth, USB, and also there is wired Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, and it works quite well. The Android Auto as well, it immediately recognizes the phone. Then the next option is the sounds of nature, where you will have all the inbuilt sounds like your lively forest, calm seas, rainy day, open air, warm fireplace, snow village. Then there is the USB video option. Then there is the Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, Qibla compass, voice memo. Then the climate option, which I mentioned before. Then there is the detailed settings option, in which you will find the vehicle option, where you will find your driver assistance, all the driver assistance settings like your driver attention monitor and all of that stuff. Then there is the drive mode, where you can customize even the driving modes which are given on this G70. Then there is also the drive mode change alert and all of that stuff. And then there is also the heads up display, so you get a pretty sharp and a bright heads up display on this G70. And not just that, you can actually see a lot of information, not too much, but still ample of information for your everyday use. You can even adjust the display from here. Then there is the content selection, where you will see your turning info, the adaptive cruise control information, traffic signs, and your blind spot, and all of those information on the heads up display as well. Then there is the cluster option, where you can change from your 3D view and also the different dials and settings that you want. And the next option is your climate, then the seat option, and then the lights option. And the next option is your door, where you will find the option for your smart trunk. So if you want to switch off that smart trunk option, where it was just opening the trunk immediately whenever you are around the car in the back, so that you can switch off from here. Then there is the convenience option, where you can switch on and off your wireless charging, and the rear passenger alert that you get on this car, you can switch that off. Then outside you will find the navigation option, then the sound settings. So you get 15 speaker Lexicon sound system on this G70, and it sounds pretty decent. Then there is the device connection option, user profile. Then there is the display option, where you will find all your brightness, blue light, screensaver, and all the display options in here. Then there is the button mode, where you will go inside and you can change the start button, mode button, and also the star button, which is given out here underneath the infotainment screen, to change all of those settings from here and assign what function you want that button to perform. Then there is the genre setting, in which you will find your system data, date, time, keyboard, and units, and all of that stuff. So that way it's a pretty easy to use infotainment screen. And not just that, when you are in the navigation system, or you are in some other options like your media or something, you can split the screen and use it. So you have the navigation system, and then on the other side, let's say you have the time, you have another navigation option, then the media option, the compass, and that's about it. You have about 4 to 5 options that you can scroll around, and you can even edit the home icons from here, from your main screen. And then you go inside, and then you can adjust however you want your icons to appear as per your convenience. So the whole thing is that the screen is super fast, so you're not going to be wasting time figuring out what's where, because even the layout is pretty simplified that way. Now when you come to the charging, you get one USB port, standard one, which is given underneath the air conditioning controls, and also one 12 volt 180 watt power socket right next to it. There is also a wireless charger, which is given out here, and there is also one more USB plug, the normal one, which is given out here inside the handrest, and for the rear passenger there is only one 12-volt power socket which is given in the back. Now on this Genesis G70 you get a decently big sunroof, and it opens also decently quick as well. And the thing is that it just doesn't stop somewhere in the middle, but it actually opens quite big, so it almost extends till the rear passenger, but even though it's still called a standard sunroof instead of a panoramic roof. But yeah, I still like it how they have given out here. Now when you come to the storage, you can put about a liter, half to 1 liter worth of bottle in the door cars. Not much of a storage that way, and some more storage on the sides. You can utilize this pad to put your phones and wallets again out here. There are 2 flexible cup holders which are given out here. There is also one more center storage. Again, you can put your phones and wallets. That's about it. Then there is another glove box which is given, which is with this velvet lining. Is also decently big enough, but in the back you can pretty much just put like half a liter worth of bottle in both the door cards, and there are 2 more cup holders which are given in the center armrest. Now there is also the gear lever which is given out here, which is pretty conveniently placed that way right out here, so you don't have to do any stretch or anything, and does not come with any buttons or anything. So I've done a detailed review video of the Hyundai Tucson, so in which you will have the button operated drive-by-wire systems out there, so you can click on the pop-up banner out here and you can watch the detailed review video of that Hyundai Tucson from that link here. Now there is also a dial given for your drive mode, so you get about 5 different driving modes on this Genesis G70. So first is your eco mode, then is the comfort mode, then the sport mode, and the sport plus mode where it switches off the traction control, and then there is the custom mode. So that custom mode you can customize from this infotainment screen when you go inside the vehicle settings, and then there is straightforward options for your drive mode. Inside that you can go and change your powertrain and the steering settings. And not just that, another feature is that when you go into the sport or the sport plus mode, the side support on your seats, they just tighten up a little bit, so that to make the seats a little more sporty, and that happens automatically. You don't have to change anything, it just does it on its own when you switch it on to different modes. And then there is also the button for your camera, traction control, and all of that stuff which is given out here. So that is pretty much it in terms of all the tech that is given out here. When you come to these seats, these are brown color Napa leather seats in this diamond quilting design out here, and honestly they are pretty comfortable that way, because obviously they are like the Napa leather, so the long driving comfort is kept in mind, which is why they've been given like that. And there is also a decent amount of side support at the bottom, and even in the backrest as well. There are these huge headrests as well that you can adjust in a multiple ways. You can raise the height, you can take it in the front or put it in the back. And also not just that, the passenger side seat has buttons to adjust the distance for the rear passenger. So this was also available in the Hyundai Tucson. So again, click on the pop-up banner out there, you can watch that video. So it's for the convenience for the rear passenger. If no one is sitting in the front, then you can adjust the seat out here. And not just that, there is also an extendable support for your thighs at the bottom, so that is also electronically adjustable. There are buttons given on the side, so for the driver and the passenger you can adjust in about 12 different ways the driving seat. The similar controls are exactly given on the passenger side as well, but overall the comfort on this seat is pretty good for long runs. So on this Genesis G70 you also get the extendable sun visor, so it's going to be a pretty useful feature in the UAE during the summers. Now in the rear of the Genesis G70, things are a little cramped up that way in terms of the space, because there is just about enough knee room out here. These seats are in my driving positions, and there is about like this much of knee room out here, and the head space is also about 3 fingers. That's about it. And someone above 6 feet may start brushing their heads against the ceiling, and the ceiling itself is covered with the suede material. Oh yeah, that's pretty good. And this back of the seat is covered with the normal plastic, and you can not slide your legs under the seat because these seats are loaded with so much of motors and stuff, so which is why there is not enough space to stretch your legs during the longer journeys. There is also a big sort of tunnel out here because this is a rear wheel drive, so there's like a fair bit of tunnel out here. So when I come in the center and sit in here, yeah, now my head is already touching the ceiling. So it's and also there's like a bit of a bump in the bottom and also even in the back, so it's not going to be an ideal seat for any passenger. But for shorter journeys, yes, you can have people in here, but it's more of a 4-seater car that way. And even in the back you get the brown color Napa leather seats in the perforated design and the diamond design and all of that stuff, but these are just perforated to maintain the design, but they don't heat or cool anything out here. But overall the comfort levels are still pretty good, although the seats are a little on a lower side. That is what I feel from the angle that you can see out here, but they have good amount of recline angle out here, so you're going to be sat pretty comfortable in here even during the longer journeys. And when you come to these door cards, you get soft touch material out here on the top and the same aluminum sort of plastic inserts around these door handles, and the diamond design brown color leather out here and where you're going to be resting hands, and at the bottom there is just normal plastic. And to give you a fact that this G70 is designed by an ex-Bentley designer, so this car would have a lot of elements that you will find similar, like these seats and the design out here, the diamond quilting and all of that stuff that looks very nearly to a Bentley Flying Spur. Yeah, that's a fact for you. And in terms of the storage, as I mentioned, you can put like half a liter worth of bottle in the door cards, and there are also 2 more cup holders which are given out here, non-flexible ones, just the normal cup holders, but they are right there in the center, so when you put any cups or anything, it's going to come in your way and you can just utilize only the back portion of the hand rest as well. But when you're not using, you can just put it away. And there's also one 12-volt power circuit that is given out here, and also couple of air conditioning vents, and you can just adjust the speed of fan and also the direction of flow of air. That is pretty much about it. And there are also buttons, as I mentioned, given out here on the front passenger seat, so if there is a passenger sat here, so they can adjust the recline and everything out here, or they can push the seat in the front and get the maximum foot space out here, so that they can adjust from here itself. So that's one more convenience feature. There are also netted storage which are given in both the driver and the passenger side seat. So this Genesis G70 is powered by a 3.3 liter V6 twin turbocharged engine that produces 365 brake horsepower and 510 Newton meters of torque, and this engine is mated to an 8-speed automatic transmission that powers the rear wheels, and there is also an all-wheel drive option which is an optional extra, which if you want to opt for. And in terms of the engine gearbox, I like the 3.3 liter engine. It's powerful, it's smooth, the delivery is pretty good, and you want the power, it's always there around, and yeah, it just does not feel very lacking or anything. And the gearbox itself, which is an 8-speed, it's also pretty smooth in terms of the shifting. Sometimes it can be a little bit in a hurry to shift down or up. Sometimes that is what happens, and at lower speeds I find the gear changes a little clunky sometimes, and like when I feel it, especially when it's downshifting. But otherwise, for a day-to-day operations, it's pretty good. In terms of the fuel efficiency, you get anywhere between 7 to 7.5 kilometers per liter when you are driving inside the city, even up to 8, and when you are going on a longer runs, you will eke out anywhere between 9 kilometers per liter. That's the what I've gotten when I've gone on for a longer test drives. So I've managed to do that much, maybe 9.5, but yeah, that's what you essentially get, because it's still a V6 engine with a 3.3 liter capacity. There's also a 2 liter engine option that is available, but that is on the base variant. But on this one you get the 3.3 liter option. So overall it's pretty good. When I put it into the Sport Plus mode, I can feel the engine now becomes more responsive, the throttle becomes very good, and the gear changes are much more aggressive now. So when I just dab a little bit of throttle, it just starts to, yeah, see, take a sideways a little bit. So it's that powerful that way. And because the traction control is off, so there is a Sport and the Sport Plus. In the Sport Plus, it removes the traction control completely and switches off, while in the Sport mode it leaves a little bit of traction control in the car's hand. So that's why if you are comfortable, you can choose whichever option. So it gives you a full burst of power and torque now, and it just changes the shift points. It's more aggressive, and not just that, it also sounds a little different. I don't know if it's artificially the sound that's blasted inside the cabin, but it does feel, it's not very great sound, but you do feel like it's just become suddenly lively that way. So when I put it in the paddle shifting modes, it's pretty quick in a Sport Plus. Like, at least for the car, it's decently quick, because this is still a luxury car. That is what it is meant to be. So for that, it's still got a dual nature that way. And complementing that is this steering wheel. Now, this steering is a very good one, which I like. Good amount of feedback. There's good weight to it. There is nice bit of pointiness. It's sharp, it's agile, so the moment you turn, you know what is happening around. So there's not vagueness to it, and with that, it's really good because it's an electronic steering, and then you can add that nature to it. And which is why when you go into the custom mode, you can even customize the steering setup if you can leave it in soft. But even the soft still does give you very good amount of feedback from the steering. Let me put this car in the comfort mode, because it's a little quiet back then, and it's a lot more comfortable also, as the comfort mode should be. Now when you come to the suspensions, they are at lower speeds, they are a little bit bumpy, because you start to feel a few more bumps inside the cabin. But when you're at a higher speeds, it still becomes better, but there is not much of a roll. So let me do a slalom. The steering and the suspensions work really well, so it's got good direction, and the roll is very marginal, and it's well kept under check because of this, because it's also got the adaptive damper. So which is why it adjusts everything, especially when you're in the comfort mode, or if you're in the sport mode, it firms up the dampers. So that gives you that additional bit of difference in terms of the driving styles as well. Now when you come to the brakes, you get 4-disc brakes, and those are the Brembo brakes. And the performance from that, let me do 100 to 0 and show you. Because this is quite a big heavy car that way, and to stop it using those brakes, it's pretty good. And the thing is, the pedal has a little bit of sponginess initially, but once it starts grabbing it, it's got a nice bit of travel that way. It's just that initial part which has a little bit of sponginess to it. That's about it. Now when you come to the noise and the vibrations, it's kind of all right inside, though it's a luxury car. I expected a little more from the car itself, because the thing is, at lower speeds or even at higher speeds, there is a bit of a road noise that you hear, like the whooshing and stuff, not from the windows, but it's just the general road noise that you hear, and that's about it. Otherwise the build quality is quite all right. Everything is very well fit and finished, so there's no rattling or anything of any loose plastics or anything. Right now also you can hear there's pretty much a smooth ride, but it's just that road noise, which, because it's a luxury car, I feel a little more sound deadening is needed. That's about it. Now when you come to the safety systems, on this Genesis G70 you get 10 airbags, 2 for the front driver and the passenger, 2 side airbags again for the driver and the passenger, and there are 6 curtain airbags, 2 in the front, 2 on the sides, and 2 in the rear for the passengers, everyone in the cabin. There is also child ISOFIX points in both the rear seats, but there is a cover, so make sure you don't lose it. Then there is also the cross traffic alert, there is also the rear passenger alert, there is also the front collision warning alert, there is also the driver attention monitor, that's also given. It's got the fabulous 360-degree camera system, which I usually like, because it's always from Hyundai, and I've driven Hyundais before, I've driven the Kia before, and all of that come with the same system, and this also gets the same treatment, which is the 360-degree camera system, and it's just super clear. There's also the ABS, there's also the ECS, there's also the heads-up display, there's also blind spot warning. So all of those standard safety systems and what you need in a car like this is all given out here. Now when you come to the pricing, so the pricing for the base model starts from around 160,500 dirhams, while this top end will touch nearly around 205,000 dirhams. So, and plus you get a 3.3 liter engine also with this one, which is why the costing just goes up a little bit. Now the thing is, if you it's nice car if you want to be, you know, seen out from the crowd differently, because it's definitely a different looking car. It's more radical in terms of its design. It looks luxurious the moment you see it from the outside, of course, because it's got the looks to go for it. There is also the technology that you have gotten in here. It's just a little bit of improvement in the materials. That's what it's needed, and also a little bit of space in the rear. That's about it. But yeah, if you're solely going to be using a single person in the back, then there is the seat option that you can move forward and then you can use it. So it's got quite a few things to go for it, and for the price point, it's still a pretty good luxury car. And let's be honest, it's affordable and also it's reliable, because underneath that there is still the surety of a Hyundai. So all of that merged together and you get a pretty good affordable luxury sedan. Anyways, that is pretty much it for this video. Give this video a thumbs up and thank you for watching this video. And if you want to subscribe to my channel, then you can click here, and if you want to watch more videos, then click here. I shall see you in the next video. Bye bye, take care and stay safe.